What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, we're going to be talking about a boot today. No, I don't speak Canadian. We're talking about the Danner Boot Company. I got a few to look at back here and one that we're going to do a redesign on today's R&R. Coming up. This is called the Danner Vicious. Okay, I bought these about a year ago. They are not the composite toe, they're standard, they're soft. So they got the Vibram sole on this thing. You know, the grip is fairly, yeah, it looks like kind of like a hiking boot, but it also has sort of this work boot, you know, looking upper on it, kind of an athletic work boot. I really dig the way they look. They look cool. This lace, the shoelace grommet just broke. But the other thing that happened to this that kind of drove me nuts was the Gore-Tex liner in here seems to have delaminated and it kind of flops around in there on my toe. And then I believe it's been a long time since I've worn these, but I don't think you can hear it, but I was walking with them on a hot day and something internally in this area broke or started moving or delaminating or shifting. I don't know if it's like in the shank area or what, but it definitely something separated in there. So I'm gonna get to the bottom of that. I'm gonna do a little bit of you know, kind of research on this boot right here, and I have some ideas on how I'm gonna do that. And then we're gonna get to the design part. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the review. It is what it is. It's been out for a while. It's been a popular boot for Danner. Looks really cool, but you know what? It's time for an R&R on this puppy. I think this is going to be a fun project. I'm going to dig into this and see if there's anything I can spot on the inside and basically learn about shoes, you know. Looks like we have an outsole right here, your standard tread pattern. Looks like it goes into this sort of foam right here with looks like maybe a little bit softer under the ball of the foot and the heel. Maybe that's for comfort. And then right here there's a hard piece of plastic. It goes kind of across the arch and all the way through here. I'm guessing that's to kind of, you know, protect from rocks and kind of feeling that through your feet. Hiking boots is kind of an important thing to have. So it's the insole, part of the insole there used. And then you have the another piece of hard plastic. It looks like right about here to here. So that would make kind of like almost like an I-beam situation there where it's real stiff, like in this area, right in your arch. And of course the Gore-Tex liner, what I was describing, was peeling away in the toe box area. So I've never really looked at a shoe like this in detail, so it's been kind of cool to sort of see how they do it. And it's like it broke right here. There's almost a crack. What was that? It's kind of a crack right along there. You know, some stuff to keep in mind when I'm sketching this shoe out. So I'm gonna set it right here and just kind of keep that as reference. So before I start any sort of concept or project, I usually do a bit of research. For this one, I was looking at the Jeep and some off-road gear and some leaf spring suspensions, just some cool rugged objects to get the inspiration going for this project. Kind of wanted this sort of rugged, modern look. And then from there, I went right into some concept sketches. Just simple pencil paper, doing profile views, usually start out that way, just kind of trying to get a theme down. And I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on this stuff. I'm gonna kind of skip through it. I have hours of footage, but really I'm just kind of trying to show you the overall process for a project like this. Even when it is quick, there's quite a bit that goes into it. So you just kind of start laying these things out as quick as possible. I'm a big fan of overlays, so you'll see me sometimes overlay a drawing that I've done before. Like I might overlay this one if I like it, and then just kind of make some adjustments from there. You kind of see that I'm kind of laying out a I'm just making a nice layout. You have your different kind of 1, 2, 3 reads. This is a quick sketch here, kind of a front 3/4 view of a shoe. I'm just trying to find some themes that have to do with that rugged aesthetic. You know, something I wanted to try out was this sort of leaf spring idea on the arch of this shoe, because you know a lot of these shoe companies do, you know, something with suspension that's kind of cool, springs or shocks, and I kind of wanted some old school reference, you know, in some way. So kind of that Jeep, kind of remember that Jeep image, and that was kind of something that kicked off this idea. Again, kind of continuing on with it, laying out graphics, simple graphics, graphical breakups, you know, on the side of the shoe, the side of the boot, and just you kind of want to keep the same type of theme going, but just to see if I could kind of clean it up and make a little bit more sense. This is the concept for this is the next generation vicious. So I'm not looking to do something really radical as far as the styling of it, but just kind of give my idea of what a next generation version of this shoe would be. Bringing back the front 3/4 of this thing, you know, drew that out, and then I'm going to work on the actually the tread pattern and the sole of this thing, the outsole. Kind of give a quick indication of that. You're going to see I'm going to put this into Photoshop, but right now I'm laying these out in just all simple paper, pencil. It's how I do a lot of my stuff still. Most projects I just start out pretty simple, so I'll spend quite a bit of time in this phase, you know, just getting things laid out, hanging stuff up, looking it over, making adjustments, and then you know, revisiting stuff if I like it, and then moving on if I don't. It's always kind of the fun phase to start seeing things take shape from a really rough idea or just research to some sort of concept that kind of starts making sense. I'm kind of trying to incorporate this drive line thing on the outsole. You'll see that more in Photoshop. I'm going to do a quick layout of the different parts of this sole, outsole, shank, kind of the TPE foam area, and then the upper shank. And just kind of my take on how I think some of that stuff could be solved by controlling the flex in it. You see I put some holes in there instead of just cut that shank off because I had that crack in the front. So I'm just seeing if I, you know, through design I can kind of improve this concept. It's something that, you know, might not be real common because it's not a styling thing. You don't really see it from the outside, but it's something that could actually improve performance if done right. So, you know, just my 2 cents on it. I don't know if this has already been tried or whatever, but it's something I did learn quite a bit about. Or I mean, I learned quite a bit when I took the shoe apart and cut it in half, so it was kind of cool. So there's the layout. I'm pretty happy with the way this is looking, so we're going to drop that into Photoshop and start using paths to sort of mark out the main areas, block it in. It's kind of how I work. If I already have the sketch made, I'll just block it in with some simple paths, and then put some basic color or grayscale in there just so I know where stuff's at. I'm not covering every single step of this drawing because it would just take too long. So I'm going to cover sort of the main things. You know, you're blocking in your main colors and putting some of the shading and the shape in here, but I'll probably leave out some of the details that I had to do with, you know, the stitching and you can see right there I cut ahead a little bit, but I'm just going to show you how I kind of generally shape this thing in Photoshop using airbrushes and paths. And like I said, I like to work in grayscale at first because I can see color breakups real easy. Some people don't do this. I do it on almost everything because you can go back and change that color if you want. In this case, I kind of made it a warm gray, I believe. Maybe I just left it gray, I don't know. But here I'm showing that kind of leaf spring arch right there. Big feature in there that it's kind of this undercut. Makes it look kind of strong, gives it kind of a strong arch look in there, and tightens that area up, which I thought was a little softer in the original shoe. I think that could be improved and tie into this design theme a little better. I've cut ahead here to the stitching area, and so I'm kind of indicating that real quickly. You know, it's kind of freestyle, done manually in this case. I've indicated those shoelace eyelets and took off those plastic pieces. I figure, you know, the original one had painted eyelets on the top too, right there where I'm at right there, and I figure why not just do it on the whole thing. Those plastic pieces broke off, and it didn't really have to be that way. So it could be a good improvement for the overall design. Just durability. You can see I got little pops of color down there. I know that plastic piece on the shank, you can pull color out of that, so I kind of use that as part of the detail on the sole. For this part, for this sketch, I wanted to show kind of a looser version of sketching. So I didn't do a whole lot of masking and you know, path use. You can see I just kind of threw some color down and then erased away what I didn't want. So I kind of wanted this contrast to having your 1, 2, 3 read on here, your real tight front 3/4, and then kind of a thematic profile sketch. And you'll see the next one is even looser than this, but it kind of shows you a good, gives you a little kind of a nice composition and shows some different styles of sketching this type of stuff. And you can see it's pretty effective for showing shape, but not as much for details and stitches, but it kind of gives you an idea of what this thing would look like, and it's pretty fast to do it this way. Kind of showing that rock guard on the side, kind of graphic. Now this is one of the theme sketches of this shoe, so I'm going to kind of keep that looking like you know, a loose quick sketch, and just kind of show that main arch there and the importance of that with a leaf spring. I'll call that out later at the very end. You'll see right here, you can see that I'm indicating this sort of color breakup and this drive line theme, sort of this off-road 4-wheel drive drive line. You saw that in the original research, and so I'm going to kind of bring that in with the color breakups here. You'll see that more and more as it goes on. Right there's the drive line. So it's kind of this idea of this 4-wheel drive off-roader, you know, tied into a kind of an athletic look. You know, not super modern shock absorber, but kind of classic details kind of hidden in there, if you know what you're looking for. And I like to do that kind of stuff and tell the story. So really, that's kind of the main theme here, is getting wound up. You'll see the rest of it, just little details here, little siping patterns, tread patterns, you know, tiny little details. You can see I'm freestyling and kind of freehanding a lot of this stuff. I'm leaving this kind of loose and just making it look, sort of giving it some depth there, you know, adding some highlights. Now we're going to move into the sole, insole design, or outsole design, and the shank, and sort of my thoughts on that. So you saw the original pencil sketch. I'm gonna throw some value in here real quick. And these are going to be more, not really diagrams, but not quite sketches. So I'm kind of, yeah, maybe a little bit more iconic, icon looking things, so you can kind of see where the breakups are. But I'm showing the hard plastic here, and then the TPE foam part, and rendering that out and giving it some value. And then you can see where I have, you'll see right here where I show this this sort of open front on that. So the idea is that you alleviate some of that flex breaking insole like I had on my current shoe. So I'm thinking if you can sandwich those two hard plastic pieces and extend it a little bit more, it might actually give you a little more control on the flex of the front of the shoe, and then keep it from breaking that area on the ball of the foot, which I seem to have broken. Showing those soft kind of dual durometer foam parts in there, indicating that with yellow. But you can tell right now, got a pretty good layout, a pretty decent you know, looking shoe here, and pretty comprehensive for this quick redesign. I'm gonna wind it up with some, you know, some text here, leaf spring suspension, kind of calling out some of the main features that I've done on here. And guys, that's gonna wrap it up, I think, for this project. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, this is a little bit more in depth than I'll probably normally do, but I had fun kind of doing it. It took a little while longer. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys on the next one.